Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Zion Ward. I'm the program coordinator for Word is Bond, and we're here to have an amazing discussion, discourse, whatever you want to call it, just about love, community, and learning how to help each other as a community, especially in the Black community, especially for Black men. So behind me, I have 6 individuals. All of them are very unique and amazing people, all prominent in the Black community. 3 of them are youth, and 3 of them are young men as well, doing a lot of great things. So I'm gonna pass it off to KeNaaz, who's gonna be the MC.
Hey. Dang, okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is KeNaaz Skannal, and today I have the privilege of serving you guys for this panel discussion. I've had the privilege of serving as an ambassador for Word is Bond for the past 5 years. My journey hasn't been without challenges though. After I faced legal troubles and was released, I found myself struggling to find work. That's when Loretta had approached me, checked in with me, seeing how I was doing. After he heard that I was struggling, he offered me an opportunity that I am incredibly grateful for. I've been working here ever since. I'm now the assistant program coordinator along with Zion. So if you ever received a call from me, when you were at work and you were busy, it was definitely me. But we're here today for an important panel discussion centered around our vision statement, Young Black Men Are. And I'm honored to be joined by 3 remarkable men and 3 soon-to-be men. We're gonna hear their perspectives and insights, so I'd like to invite them to introduce themselves. Let's start down and then work our way up.
So my name is Abeal Sihel. I'm 17 years old. I go to Henry Relax High School in Vancouver. I am a rising third-year ambassador at Word is Bond, and my mantra is I'm Eritrean, I'm intelligent, I'm a leader, I'm an engineer, I'm a scholar, I'm an education roundtable member, and I will change the world. And then also I want to speak a little bit about my membership with the Education Roundtable. In the Education Roundtable, basically what that means is, so I go to school in Vancouver, which is in Washington, and that's a program where me and I think it's like 50 other students and educators meet in Seattle 4 times a year, and we talk about certain things like how we can progress post-secondary education within the state of Washington, and yeah, so that's my membership in that.
I'm Elijah Crawford. I am a Portland native. I currently work in City Hall for Councilor Loretta Smith. Again, like I said, I'm a Portland native, somebody who is recently has watched Lakiana's work with Word is Bond from afar for a while, but recently got formally connected with them. And I've been able to kind of sit in on some of their sessions, and I'm really inspired by him and his work with the ambassadors. So I'm very thankful to be here, thankful to be on the panel and share a little bit of my story, and also learn from the other folks on the panel. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Cyrus Coleman. I am 34. I'm from Austin, Texas originally. Been here about 8 years. Moved out here to work at Nike. And through the 8 years, I became one half of the Creative Homies and am part owner of the space that you'll into. So thank you all for being here, and it's my privilege to be able to provide this space to you all. And keep it going.
My name is Aundreas Simmons. My mantra is I'm Black, I'm a brother, I'm a scholar, and I'm better than I was yesterday. And I go to PYC Rosemary Anderson High School. Yeah, I'm a Portland native as well, from the north. That's it.
I'm Isaac Vinson. I am a sophomore at Vinson High School. This is my first year at Where's Bond. My mantra is I'm young, I'm black, I'm swift, I'm changing, and I'm adaptable. Not only is it my first year at Where's Bond, but it's really my first month. I started the program about a month and a half ago, and I'm actually new to Portland as well. I came here about a year ago, and it's been great. You know, I had something similar to this back in Texas, and I'm great to be moving forward with this as well.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chris Crater, manager of Milestone Innovation and Impact at the Obama Foundation. So I send greetings from Chicago, greetings from President Obama. Really just grateful to know about the work that's happening with Word is Bond and trying to see how we make that connectivity so the world can know about the great work that's happening with our young black men here in Portland.
Okay, the first question is, this is for all the panelists. What word or phrase do you feel best represents the current state of young black men today and why? We're gonna start with Chris and we're gonna work our way down.
Ooh, come on, way to just get us going early, right? I would say in this current state right now, And it's interesting because in my work, right, I get to travel the country, I get to see evidence-based best practices. Again, we're working in Chicago to try to figure it out, but across the country, we are seeing that our young black men are facing similar challenges. You know, typically when we think about our young men, we're talking about they're at the tops of most of the negative connotations and at the bottom of most of the good ones. And when we think about organizations like this, we are shifting the narrative. So when I think about where our current black and brown young men are right now, I'm gonna say the word that comes to my mind is resilient. I think obviously there's been a lot that our young men have gone through. There's a lot that's on them. And I think when we think about holding spaces like this, we get an opportunity to examine how best we support them. One of the things that I'm also figuring out too, when we convene spaces with adults to have those conversations about what we think black men need, our young black men should have, we have to include young black men in those conversations.
I think the question was, what word or phrase best describes young black men? My whole family grew up in the hood. And when I think about how a lot of them don't live in the hood no more, I think about progress. So if I were to think about what phrase best describes black African Americans, I would say progress. But when it comes to young black men, I would almost say expectations or stagnation. It kind of seems to me like everybody else is moving up. The women in my life are moving up. Older black men are moving up. And I don't know if it's just because we haven't hit that age yet, but I'm seeing my cousins relapsing in jail. It's almost like we're being left behind. That's all I gotta say about that.
I'll say the word for me would be limitless, because like, not just because we all here right now, it's because like, everybody wrote something on those boards and it was like 1,000 words on them. We could be whatever we want if we just put our mind to it, I think.
The word I was using was visionaries. You know, everybody here sees themselves in a certain light. And our culture, our influence, our ability to make the most with the least. And this space for me, like, I've envisioned all of y'all being here, not necessarily in this way, but like just being here is like such a big, important step. And being able to see it, whether it's in your mind or in reality, I think is a really important factor. So I think whether you envision yourself getting 1 step better or 100 steps better, wherever you are down the line, I think it's a really important thing to carry with you, no matter where you go. Like, you got to be able to see it to believe it too. So to be able to provide spaces like this and have interactions like this, talk with people in different spaces, it's a really powerful thing to cross-pollinate creativity, inspiration, and just the ultimate goal and drive to be better. And whether that's for you or your fellow man or woman, I think that's what we all want ultimately at the end of the day. So you got to be able to see that somewhere, whether it's in reality or in your mind. So that's one of the visionaries.
The word I would use is divine. I think that something that's often overlooked is young black men in general. I think we're natural born leaders by our very nature, and I think that is something that's divine. I think that we are in interesting, unprecedented times that also provide for opportunity. I think there's a passing of the torch going on right now with you know, the next generation that's coming up, and you know, leadership is wanted, and I think that that leaves an opportunity for black men to kind of define that space for themselves. I'm very inspired by the work that's going on here in Portland with Word is Bond, with organizations like 1803, with organizations like Albina Vision Trust. I think there's a lot of opportunity to define black leadership in general, but I think that black male leadership has to be at the center of that. And I'm also very inspired by the young ambassadors here. And my message to them also would be that you are divine leaders. So believe in that and stand in that.
So I would have to say, well, my first thought, I kind of want to talk about this too. My first thought was the word disarray. And that was kind of because from my eyes at my school, I see like, I don't really have a lot of black friends at my school. I mean, there are not a lot of black people in my school. There's like a common thing that's said in my school is that you can fit all the black people in our school in one room and still have room for more people. So there's like not a lot of black people there. So, you know, I've kind of like struggled to find like a group of people that I'm truly comfortable with in my school. And so there are black people though, and there are some that are my friends, you know, but then there's others that like, you know, they're just like on their own, and it's kind of like, it's hard because I wanna like talk to them, I wanna, you know, be friends with them and everything. It's just like, sometimes they just don't want to. And yeah, so that's the word I chose, disarray, but I think the better word to use is rising, because primarily because of programs like this, like Word is Bond. I usually go to Word is Bond events, and I see, I talk to like older people, and they're always telling me, oh, when I was your age, I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have been in a program like this. And so like hearing that, I think this is definitely like a big thing. So it's like, yeah, like I'm 17, and yet, like I never, like a year ago, I never would have thought that I would be in a program like this, doing things like this, speaking on a panel, you know, with all these amazing people here. So it's like, you gotta also think like there's a positive side to everything. So it's like, I think, yeah, the word I would choose for this is rising.
The next question is, and this is for all panelists, the topic is still supporting young black men. The question is, what are some effective ways you have seen communities come together to support young black men? And also I would like for the ambassadors to give like an example of like what they've seen. Starting from Abeal down.
Can you repeat the question one more time? Sorry.
Yeah, the question is, what are some effective ways you have seen communities come together and support young Black men?
I think I would have to say this recently actually happened this past Thursday. I was at a conference with some of my friends, like I said, some of my Black friends, two primarily, and they were from my school, and so we were going to a conference, and we skipped school for the conference though, and so they took us on a bus to Clark College, which is a community college in Vancouver, and we had food. We talked with some other people from Union, which is another school in our district, and yeah, we had a lot of other Black people, and it felt really good. And what they did was, I don't know if anyone is familiar with the name Erin Jones, but she's a really influential Black woman, and she actually spoke there, and it was really, it was good. It was like a really good talk, and then we had a lot of good activities and everything, and I think things like that was the first time I'd ever gone to something like that my school had ever like promoted before. So it's like, I would never like do anything, so I would just be like, there's not a lot of Black people at our school, so I would just be like, well, there's probably not a lot of good things to do in terms of like Black people, so then I would just kind of like seclude myself. But then I went to this conference with my friends because they told me I should go, and so yeah, that was a big event that I think it was a really good event. Yeah.
I would say first meeting young Black men where they're at is very important, but also providing exposure. There's a saying, exposure leads to expansion. So an example of that in community, like when I was in a program similar to Word is Bond when I was in high school. It was through SEI, and it was called Male Leadership. We had Black mentors who looked like us, but also met us where we were at, who were involved in the community and a lot of different areas. But we were exposed to a lot. We got to hear from Black business owners. We got to hear from Black lawyers, Black doctors in the community, and we went on a tech tour my sophomore year of high school, I believe it was, to Silicon Valley. It was probably about 35 of us, young Black men, going to Silicon Valley on a tech tour. We got to tour Google, we got to tour Facebook, we got to go to Black coding schools in the area, and we just got to see Black excellence in a way that we didn't see here. And I think that exposure is so key because not only does it influence what you believe you can do, but if you see people who look like you doing it at a high level, you know it's attainable, and you're not crazy for dreaming the way you're dreaming because you know it's well within reach. I think that exposure is very key, and then also again just meeting young Black boys where they're at, and being vulnerable and sharing your success with them, but also sharing where you struggle too. You know what I mean? Because also, like, I remember when I was in their shoes, when I had mentors tell me where they struggled, it helped me because, you know, it was like, okay, cool, you went through this too? All right, well, maybe I can get through it. So I think those two things are key.
Well said. I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, like providing space I feel is a really strong way to help. I think similarly, you don't know what you don't know. So being able to have access to opportunities to expand your palette and like see what you like, what you don't like, have opportunities to try and fail and grow. The more that you can find settings to do that, I think the better you can be overall. For me, growing up, you know, I was very narrow-minded in like my goals and aspirations. I wanted to be a pro athlete, football, basketball, but I also was blessed to have a little bit of creativity too. And it's okay to like have a dream and then pivot, you know, like you don't have to be all in on whatever the eggs are in your basket. Like you can see new windows and new doors to walk through and new opportunities, but if you're so narrow-minded in that you're looking down this tunnel, it's not gonna look like you have a lot of options. But if you start to open and look left and right, you see like, there's plenty of paths, there's plenty of ways to get up to that mountaintop. You don't have to take one particular road to get there. And there's no right or wrong way. It's just being open and continuing to push forward. You know, like they say, life is when preparation meets opportunity. It's like just keep at it, keep at it. You don't know what those opportunities are going to be, but when they show up, don't be afraid to fail. And take a leap of faith and trust. And you're not in it alone. So having access to people and spaces to be able to like feel safe and bounce those ideas off each other and see what those opportunities may or may not be, how you can learn from people, I think that's a really good tool to have, especially for young Black men.
Can you read me the question again, please?
Yeah. What are some effective ways you have seen communities come together to support young Black?
To like become as one, like you might see a kid walking and like he may be a Black, it don't matter what color he is, but like people just often let him walk by. No, you gotta like say something like, hey, like a greeting like always like can make somebody's day better. You never know. And like people often say like good to like get by real fast, like how you doing, good, good. Then they walk by. Nah, like you gotta like get in tune. Feel me? Like really like talk to them, like get in their head for real. But yeah, that's what I.
The guy who points out the obvious. When I think of times the community has come together, I think of organizations like Word is Bond. You know, nobody is, I mean, maybe somebody did force them to make this organization, but they could have just quit their job or whatever. No, like, they really came out here to help people like us for no reason, just to help us. And I'm really grateful for that. So when I think of times that communities have come together to help young Black men, I just think of groups like this. You know, not just Word is Bond, not just the group I was in Texas. It was like a Christian male group. Not just that, but it's any organization that's out there to help marginalized groups.
I mean, I really think they said it all for real, man. So, you know, when I think about a quote that really talks about like the real art of discovery, right? Like it lies not in discovering new landscapes, but in having new eyes, right? So the real art of discovery is not necessarily just going to see it, right? We'll see the new landscapes, but having new eyes and having a new perspective. I think when I've seen the community show up best for our boys and our young men of color, particularly our Black young men, it's having a different perspective, giving them the voice, giving them the agency to show up as their authentic self, and the push to let them lead us, right? Now today, if I wasn't here, I would be in Chicago, and I'll tell you a brief story. There's a young man by the name of McKinley Nelson. So McKinley is 28, right? When McKinley was in college, you know, he went away from college. He was a basketball star in high school. It didn't quite pan out to play college ball, but he went to college, and he was excited to be there. But he kept hearing phone calls of his friends constantly getting shot and killed. And ultimately, it put him in a deep depression. So much so that McKinley tried to take his life on several occasions. Now we fast forward, McKinley comes out of it, right? He comes back to Chicago and he says, I want to do something for Black and brown young men, but I don't want to like tell them what to do. I want to hear from them so I'll know exactly how we can best make this organization work. So he started Project Switch. It's a curated basketball tournament in some of the roughest neighborhoods, doing some of the highest crime hours. And it's not just basketball, but it's also accompanied by a a medical clinician, right? So we can go and hoop and have a good time, but if there's something deeper we need to talk about, we can do that. And he said, well, you know what? I'm turning 26 years old 2 years ago. I want to host something. What can I do? So he didn't guess for our young men. He brought the men to the table to ask them what they want. And they said, McKinley, we want a 26-hour lock-in. You find a spot where we can stay for 26 hours, and we will come up and curate the whole program. Yes, we want to play basketball, but we also want to hear financial literacy. I also need a new haircut. I also want to design shoes. I also want to find out how I can learn how to meditate. So he said, okay, well, we'll put it together, but y'all got to help me host it. And they did 26 hours apiece. And last year, 27 hours, and today in Chicago is 28 hours apiece, right? Drafted by these brilliant black young men who are saying that we are more than enough. We just need the agency, we need the space and the spotlight to let our voice shine bright. We will tell you what we need if you ask us. And to ask us, that means you have to see us and talk to us. So.
It's okay. I mean, we're gonna try to keep this down to at least like a good minute and 30 seconds, 2 minutes, but it's okay. That was cool. But this same topic, supporting young black men, this is just for the working adults. So, ambassadors, y'all can sit this one out. This one's just for the working adults. How does your field of work empower young black men, and what more can be done to like empower the voices? We're gonna start with Elijah, and then we're gonna work our way down.
Okay, it's a loaded question. How does my work empower black men, correct? That's the question?
Yes.
Cool. Well, I feel, I feel like I'm in a unique position. I'll just give some context. I recently came back home after leaving for school in 2018, and then graduated in 2022, and then spending some time in DC and then coming back. And I think that there is, kind of like I spoke on earlier, a lot of key opportunity in Portland right now, specifically Black Portland. Again, with the work with Word is Bond, with the work of 1803 and the work of Albino Vision Trust, I think that in my work at City Hall, there's an entirely new form of government, and we have two Black councilors on council, and we have, for the first time in history, the most representation on city council. So I think that in the district that the council I work for represents District 1, which is East Portland, everything east of 82nd, where many of us have been pushed out of. I think that our work I think there's a direct opportunity to empower Black men and Black Portland in general. One of the things that I can say that Councilor Smith is directly working on is the workforce, strengthening the workforce over the next 10 years. As baby boomers are retiring at aggressive rates, how can we find ways for our Black youth to fill positions here in Portland? How can we continue to build Portland so it is a place that our youth want to stay, and if they do leave, decide to come back. So I think that the work that's being done right now on those fronts will be very pivotal to what the next 10 years of Portland looks like. So yeah.
It's tough to follow up as somebody who makes clothes for a living. But I have had some experiences that have made me want to open up the aperture of my influence. And I love where I work. By no means does what I say reflect the ideas and values of Nike. Let me preface saying that. But you know, when I got on the team, I was the only black face on the basketball design team. I was hired to do t-shirts and had an opportunity to throw down a uniform design. And the very next week, they're like, we got Kobe coming in. If you want to like put an option down, put it in front of him, see if he likes it. Walk in the next Monday, there he is before everybody. He's like first to the meeting, waiting outside the door to be let in. And I'm just having to walk by and not like freak out and just act cool, like this is regular. It's my first week. And lo and behold, 5 hours later, my director comes by and says, Kobe picked your option, fuck teams, you're working on uniforms. And I was like, wow, you know, that's like amazing. It's a dream come true that I didn't even know I had. And to be able to like even just have a piece, like it wasn't my entire thing, like it's a team effort, right? But to be a part of that team and to be able to like inspire, like we're all inspired by sports, you know, and we all have that commonality, you know, especially being young and black, like those are the go-to ways to get out of your situation. And at the end of the day, it's not, you know, all that serious. It's a game, it's fun. And real shit happens, you know, the injustices of George Floyd and police brutality and everybody being cooped up and wanting to better themselves. And there's some experiences I had too where like, you know, I'm of this culture that I'm trying to serve as a designer in this space. So I have a little bit more clout and expertise than some of the people I have to like get approvals from. So it's kind of a hard situation to be in sometimes. And there's certain times where, you know, at the end of the day, it's not mine. You know, I'm trying to do the best I can and convince the people that are in the position to make the decisions that need to be made. And part of this building was grown from some of those decisions that were made that I didn't, you know, resonate with. And realizing, you know, there's certain things that you have control over and that you don't have control over, so give yourself the space to fill that cup. Like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is my job, there's certain things that happen, there's certain things that are out of my control, but if I really wanna like do that to the fullest, I can go over here and express myself in this way. And that led to an art show that I did to express, you know, what luxury and sports brands might look like if they empowered the people that made them the level that they are. For instance, like, what does it look like if the logo of the NBA is not Jerry West, it's Michael Jordan? That's the best player that's ever played, yet he's not the face of the brand. So just that thought exercise, and like, you know, it's for fun, it's art, but it's like something that resonates with me. And wanting to find a space to have others to be able to express themselves and get across the ideas and see what they want to see in the world. We need more places like that. And so that's how I guess, go about work, trying to empower, you know, the black youth. It's a very slippery slope in some instances, but I also think it's, you know, important that we're willing to take those steps and missteps on that slippery slope.
So I would say, obviously, I get the honor of working for my brother's keeper. For those who might not remember, a little over 11 years ago, after the unfortunate verdict came down in the Trayvon Martin case, after he was brutally murdered, right? there was an opportunity for President Obama to really ask the country to examine, right? Federal agencies, mayors across the country, what are we doing to support boys and young men of color? And if what you're doing is not working, how are you shifting from your police department, from your policies, from your workforce development to make sure that they are seen, heard, and have an opportunity? It is very clear. The data tells us, right? When black boys do well, the country does well. That's interesting. When black boys do well, the country does well. Having the opportunity to not only get to work and support so many organizations that are trying to figure out how to best support black and brown young men is motivating to me, but also to be able to hear from them, to be able to see the different perspectives across the region. We have 6 milestones that cover cradle to career for us that we hold every community to. We are in the belief that it is great to have amazing programming. We all love good programming, but to be honest with you, at this current state, good programming is not enough, right? We need population level change, right? We have to go a step above good programming. And the way we do that is thinking about our early childhood, right? What are the preventatives of our young black boys that prevent them from showing up well on the first day of kindergarten? Can they read on grade level by grade 3? Are they graduating from high school? Are they completing their post-secondary education or trade? Are they successfully employed? And how are we keeping them safe? Every day I get to go home and I get to think about what are we doing to move the needle for black and brown boys. I'll be clear with you. Oftentimes our team asks us, how do you know what you're doing is effective? How do you know that it's working? Now, it is partly a feeling, right? You go home and you say, okay, I made an impact today. But now we are using data. We want to understand what is the evidence-based best practices to help us move the needle so our boys and young men of color have a fighting chance. Because what we see, when they show up well. When they have what they need, they can do it. But trying to figure out how best to make it happen has definitely been something that has been challenging for me, but also something that has given me great joy. So every day I get to do this work, I'm grateful to do it and excited because I learn way more from them than they could ever learn from me. So.
You just killed that question for sure. So it's the same topic. We're still on supporting young black men, but this is for all panelists. And I want you guys to give an example for the ambassadors. Okay, let me ask the question. What additional resources or initiatives are needed to better support young black men in their professional and personal growth? And for the working adults, I want you guys to give like an example of what resources would have helped you at a young age. I want like 2 to 3 examples. Keep it under like a minute and 30 seconds though. We're not going, okay. But no, I'm just start saying hey. I'm just getting the mic and say hey. But and then for our ambassadors, I want you guys to say like, what resources help you, or like what resources do you feel that you guys need? I'm gonna start with, since you killed the last question, I'm gonna start with you, Chris, and then we're just gonna work our way all the way down.
All right, so I only got a minute, so I'll keep it quick. So I'll be honest with you. I don't have a lot of regrets in life. I really only have one, to be honest with y'all. The only regret I have is that I waited so long to turn the light on. When there were moments where I knew the answer to the question, but I didn't raise my hand, or when there were moments when I was trying to make everybody laugh so they wouldn't focus on the hurt that I had because I lost my mom at a young age, right? I wish somebody would have leaned in and told me it was okay to feel. I thought I was doing good because I didn't cry at my mother's funeral. I thought that was being a man. But I found out later on, if you don't deal with that grief, it travels with you, and somehow, ironically, it winds up putting you in between everybody that loves you, right? Like it separates you, and it's ugly and it's mean sometimes. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to share. It's okay to express. That's what I needed as a young black boy on the west side of Chicago that I didn't really see. So I'm here to tell you now, if there is something that you want to be better at, if there's something that you're feeling and that you want to express, I will say go for it. Try it. Talk to somebody. If you don't know, it's okay if you don't know. But we have to get past just guessing on our own. It was not effective for me. That's the only regret. Now I've done okay for my life, and I'm grateful that so many people were praying and watching over me. But I will be clear with you. If I would have turned the lights on earlier and really tried, I wonder what I would be right now. You have the opportunity to change the narrative for you and your family. And let's go to work.
My answer comes from your answer.
Come on.
Just having people there that are like hoping on you, that are supporting you. I know a lot of people don't have that, but I did. And it helped me out so much. Yesterday, my mama called me. She was like, "How are you doing?" I said, "Mama, you don't have to worry. I'm doing good. Isaac's doing good. You ain't got to worry about me." I had people who was checking on me, who was hoping on me when they saw my grades slip, and they was like, "Isaac, what's happening to you? Isaac, what's happening?" I know some people didn't have that. I know I have friends, family didn't have that, but I did, and it's helped me out beyond words.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Shoot, I changed the question up, but I don't forgot how I said it. Okay. What additional resources or initiatives are needed to better support young black men in their personal and professional growth? But the question for you was, what additional resources do you feel like you need as a young black man?
Well, it's not for me. I think it's for like every other young black man, but also like mentors and like not like just picking any mentor. Like you gotta be a mentor who like came from like similar backgrounds, so like they know. Cause your parents always gonna be on your side no matter what. But like somebody who don't like not your family, they gonna tell you the real, like more than your parents, of course. So yeah, that's what I think.
You know, I feel pretty blessed to have had a good support system as a kid. My dad was always, on tour. He's a musician, traveling the world. Didn't really see him that often. So I got into sports and had, my eyes set from an early age on like something. Not everybody has that, so I feel like the more you can lock in on like a goal and just like a safe space to have accountability partners, it's only going to be to your benefit. And I was pretty stern on like what I was set to do until I had to adjust my goals. And I got to college and kind of lost that support system, started to slip up a little bit on like my P's and Q's, and had to really like face reality. I got a little lax and transparently like hanging out with the wrong crowd and trying to explore and do all these things and drugs, and like I had a car accident and I had to take some time off of school and just recalibrate. And sometimes you gotta hit a wall to know like, oh shit, like go back to yourself, your true self, instead of being in the wind, going with the flow of like people who don't know where they're going. So I think the more that you can be focused on what is true to you, the more that you can find like-minded people to help support. And I had to like reach back out to some of my core friends and be like, yo, I need you to keep me accountable to my goals. Let's talk every week. Let's talk every month. And I want to do this in this amount of time. And lo and behold, like, graduated with honors, got my dream job, was able to buy a building. You know, it's not stuff that I saw on my like bingo card at the beginning, but I think anybody can do that also. We all have the tools and the talents. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, you know, but a lot of it is your perception and your internal compass too. And, you know, sometimes you might go through a magnetic field and need to get recalibrated. It's okay. So I think, I don't know what that is for everybody, but to just be able to be honest with yourself and like be okay with hitting that wall and course correcting.
I would say similarly to Brother Crater over here, I don't have many regrets. And despite the intense hardships I've faced, I feel I've been extremely blessed with support systems around me to help me get to where I'm going and can continue to, you know, push me forward. I feel though that one thing that is very important too, to young black men, to the ambassadors that are here, when you are blessed with those supports, utilize them. And when things get hard, and I suffer from this at different points in my life, but when things get hard, don't isolate, especially when you have supports. Don't isolate and feel that, you know, you can't open up until you are this version of yourself that you want to present to the world. As you're working through that, whatever is tough, use those supports that you've been blessed with because they're there for you to help you in times like that. Don't only tap in when things are all good. I think that is something that's very important. And I will always say another piece, get intentional about the relationships that you're building within your life. I like to call it, I have what I like to call board of directors for my life. And every time I make decisions, or anytime things get tough, I roll out that list of people. I think y'all have a great resource in Lakiana. He's on my board of directors for my life. He helps me make tough decisions. He helps me, he's a soundboard. But I think that is a great guiding principle for young black men because, you know, the road can get a little bumpy at times, and to have those supports around you to reach out to is very important because you can't do it on your own. And then secondly, I'll also say the sooner you develop discipline, the faster you can get wherever you want to go. That's something that I always knew, but didn't always fully take action on until later. And once I, probably my freshman, sophomore year of college, and not really like full throttle until towards the end of college. I was always, I had great relationships with everybody. I was likable and did enough to get by. But the sooner you develop routines, develop a system for your life, and develop discipline, everything that you're aiming for, you can get it much faster than you think. So discipline is going to be very key too.
So actually, Aundreas took my answer, so I have to come up with another one. But so I would have to say education, because that's important. Education is important, and I kind of over like the past few years, I've really understood that. And it's like I actually, like I said, this Thursday I was at a conference, and when I was there, I actually met a teacher from a neighboring school, and I heard him talking about how, or like some of his students were talking about how he was teaching AP African American Studies. And at my school, we don't have that, right? We have nothing close to that. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, I need to be there. I need to be there. I have to. And so I was talking to him. I was saying, like, maybe I can, like, sit in on one of your classes. And he was like, oh, yeah, of course. And then he ended up actually giving me the full curriculum to the class in a binder, bag, and he just said, "You can keep it." And so I think that moment really sparked it too, and it really like built on the fact that like I want to go to college, and I see myself in college in the next few years, and so yeah, I would say education.
Okay, our next topic is community mentorship. I just want to remind all the panelists we are getting the crunch time, so these answers, you feel me? All right. Sorry, this is for all of the panelists. Can you guys share an example of a mentor who has made a significant impact on your life and how? I would also want a story time, but like only if y'all can keep it to like a minute and 30 seconds. We're gonna start with Abeal.
So I would have to say, I know y'all would probably think about this too, but like it's Mr. Jury. I call him Mr. Jury, by the way. But yeah, so I think I joined Word is Bond. Was it like 2022 or something like that? I don't know. In between my freshman and sophomore year that summer, I joined Word is Bond, and it completely changed my life. And it wasn't like, I mean, I can't really say it was like a complete 180, but it was like, it definitely empowered most of my thoughts. Because I was thinking about doing things like being an officer in my BSU. I'm an officer in my BSU. Being like a main proponent in my district and like representing my district. Now I am, but I wasn't then. And I was thinking about these things, and then I never kind of like got into it until I was in Word is Bond, and until I met Mr. Jury. And so, yeah, I would say Mr. Jury is a big part of my life. Yeah.
I didn't have the pleasure of growing up in Word is Bond. I wish I did. I grew up in SCI, and I joined in second grade, and I had a mentor by the name of Aaron Dixon, who I come from a single parent household. I'll be 25 March 1st. I just met my father at 23. So when I met Aaron in second grade, he was an after-school program coordinator, and he would help me with my homework every day, but also just give me encouragement. And that was the first mentor that I had that looked like me, the first example of what a man was outside of the house, and somebody who was still by my side to this day. I was just with him this morning. But he's somebody that's also on my board of directors. If it wasn't for SEI, if it wasn't for mentorship, if it wasn't for Aaron, I don't know who I'll be or where I'll be today. Literally gave me instructions just through observation about how to navigate this world as a black man. So I think mentorship is pivotal, and because of that, I also am inspired by y'all and inspired by these spaces and inspired by Lakiani. So thank you.
I have a few. A lot of them are in the art space. My first high school art teacher, one of my first design directors, and my current design director. So most recent and most early, I would say Will Green, Matt George, Mr. Martinez. But I'm going to touch on Matt George. This was during the time that I was in college, and I had dropped out, went back. He was like, all right, I want to really find like a solid internship, respectable, get a dream job, all that stuff. And part of it too is like understanding what you want and being okay with like bending the rules. And I had a very important design project due. At the same time, I had an interview with an internship that would actually pay me money. So it was like, do I go turn in my project to get, the fake A+, or do I go have an opportunity to start a career? Wasn't gonna lose either opportunity, but I went to the interview and I communicated that with my teachers. I didn't just like up and leave them, but I told them, hey, I have a conflict. One of the best design agencies in Dallas is like wanting to interview me. Can I go there? And they're like, yeah, it's okay, we'll accept your project later. I told him that initiative that I took to come to him instead of turning in my project. And that went a long way, you know. Actions are louder than words. You know, people can talk all day, but what do you actually do? And I'm sure everyone in this room has a version of that, but you know, at the end of my internship, finishing out school, they weren't able to hire me on full time, but they're like, hey, we'll keep you on as an intern through the summer, and if anything you need to do to find your dream job, we're here to support. So I said, okay, I'm gonna fly out to Portland, and I'm gonna try and get a job at Nike. And they said, great. I came here, had an interview, not a formal interview, but just a meet and greet, and that's where I met Will Green. And we hit it off, and he said, you know, we got a formal opening, think you'd be a good fit for an actual interview. And I'm on the end of my trip, I'm like, we're doing this like later this afternoon? He's like, no, we'll fly you back out. I was like, oh, okay. And I told Matt George, like, hey, they want me to come back, and they want me to do a project for this interview. And he said, whatever you need. Gave me the keys to the design firm. I was there overnight, 7 days, grinding, making a project, something to show for like this actual interview. And on the last day, he actually came in and helped me like stitch together this like design book that I made, and I got the job. And so like, really just support leaders who show up for you and appreciate you, believe in you, and give you opportunities, and don't hoard your potential. You know, he could have been like, no, you gotta be in, like, we need this, we need that in the 30s. Like, no, I believe in you. I think you should get the best for you. So anything I can do to help. So he'll forever like be in my good graces, and I would love to pay him back from there.
One of my mentors was Mr. Jury too, because like he'll see the people, like the places I'm filling in, put me in those places. Like if I don't like talking, he'll make me talk. Like he gonna put me somewhere where I have to talk. Like yeah, and I really appreciate that because that's where I got like most like all my communication skills. And like there's another one, Foster in the back. You know, he was my teacher. Then after I left, he was like, just come back if you need help when you work. And like we've been talking. One time he got me up at like 9 a.m. in the morning, cold, to run up a hill and stuff. Yeah, it was bad. Then like so yeah, shout out to him.
I've had a couple different mentors in my life, but I want to touch on a quality of a mentor that I think is needed. And I forget who on this panel brought it up, but somebody said it's so important that they be from the same background. And I kind of disagree a little bit. I don't think it really matters where they come from. I think it matters where they are. I think when I look at my mentors, I look at somebody who is where I want to be. I'll talk to them and I'll be like, man, I really want to do this. And they're like, hey, I'm already there. I got you, bro. Let me tell you about it. And seeing that's so important, to see somebody who you already want to be. That's it.
So I think I would be remiss not to say, in a space with young black men, we have to let go of the survivor's remorse. A lot of us feel guilty if we are the one that has the opportunity to make it. For me, when I went to college, I struggled because how is it that I get to go to school, but I think about some of my friends who are literally dodging bullets every single day. How dare me be on this beautiful campus, enjoying my life, when I think about my brothers that's back home struggling to navigate the space. But what my mentor helped me realize was, sometimes you have to be the one to be able to show them that it's something else. So I just felt like I needed to say that. If we are at the intersection right now deciding whether we don't know if we can go because we don't want to leave, or, somebody's behind. Sometimes you have to go, and them seeing you go will make them go. I had it in my mind, right? I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna get kicked out. I'm only going to college because my aunt who raised me after my mother passed, she was like, please, that's all I want, you to go and try it. So I tried it, and I said, oh, I got this, I'm good at getting kicked out of stuff. People kind of somehow judge black boys anyway, so, we're angry and we're mad all the time, right? So it won't take me long to get suspended or to be put out or on probation. And my plan was working. Most teachers had put me out of the class, but when I got to one class, I had a black male professor by the name of Mr. G. And he did not care about my sob story. He was like, when you come in here, I see excellence. I'm gonna give you a little grace, but not that much though, because I see something in you you don't see in yourself. And if I don't hold you accountable, who will? And it got so bad to the point where I wanted to almost fight Mr. G, because I said, why do you care so much? And he said, well, we'll talk about it in 4 years. And because of that brother pouring into me, because of him standing up to me, I wanted to be like him, so I became a teacher like him.
This question is for all of the working professionals. So the Aundreas can sit this one out. However long you guys take on this one, we might have to wrap up after that. So the question is, why did you guys get into your respective fields, and what do you enjoy about them that makes you want to keep going back?
I'll go first. At a young age, I remember being in kindergarten and drawing a picture. Kids to my left and right in the class being like awed. Like, how did you draw that? I was like, everybody can draw, right? Like, what do you mean? So I was lucky enough to find out something I was relatively good at a young age. I had other passions. I wanted to be, an athlete, but I stuck with that. I always found comfort. I was the only child. I spent a lot of time drawing by myself, and I find peace and tranquility in getting into the little details and just spending all the time there. And I didn't know how to make a living out of that when I was young, but I just knew I liked to do it. And I went to college originally to just be a drawing and painting major and just draw and paint, and then I learned about graphic design as a way to actually monetize creativity for a job. And I was just trying to figure out a way that, we all are trying to make a living out of something we love so it doesn't feel like work. So I just set out on that dream to be a part of the things that I love, and found that perfect intersection, and at Nike and design, and being able to create those things that brought me joy as a child, right? So ultimately, that's kind of how I found my outlet, and what I pursued relentlessly, and it led me to a path to where I wanted to be able to provide space for others to do that. And this building is an embodiment of literally just trying to provide space for people to fulfill their dreams, whatever those might be. Because everybody has different perspectives, everybody has different talents, and you never know who you're gonna cross paths with at a particular moment in life, and get a different perspective and a different opportunity and a different ability to express yourself in a way you might not have for that moment. So it's important to have spaces like this, I feel and so honored and humbled and just love all of you being here in support of this project. Word is Bond is amazing. These young black men are amazing, and like it's fulfilling like so many things that I couldn't have saw at the time of like, oh, let's get a building and like let's do all this stuff. Like it's just bringing it together and like building the plane as we fly sometimes. That's like the fun of it. And being able to recognize the fun and the joy is ultimately the goal. And then if you get to create a career out of that, I think that's the bonus.
So I'll go brief so we can let our young king do it last, because I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of all of y'all, first of all, just for being where y'all are right now. Like, y'all don't know how exciting this is to see. Like, are we excited for them though? And like, they not really just the future though. Like, they the present though. They got input right now. They got agency right now. They make an impact right now. And the reason why I want you to go last, because so he's an HBCU alum too. He went to Southern Baton Rouge. I went to Mississippi Valley State. And I remember, you know, how tough it was to navigate college, especially coming from a big city, going to a little small town, and also hearing the perception of how you're viewed by other people. Chicago, when we hear the name, we know what we go to, right? We go to that CNN ad that says violence. You know, we get a little nervous because we've heard the connotation about the storytelling that goes along with Chicago. So I managed to escape it, right? I leave Chicago, I go to my HBCU down south, then I get an opportunity to go to Arkansas to go to school, and you know, I'm about to complete a graduate degree. I have an opportunity in another city, right? I'm one of the few out of my friend group that made it. It's important for me to leave and to never come back. That's the thought process behind it. But when I think about it though, there were so many different moments to say, well, you know what? You had this special set of skills. You had to leave Chicago, but it's important that you come back. And not that you just come back, but you come back to a space where you struggled in, where there weren't a lot of people that leaned into you, that supported you, that saw you. So becoming a teacher, I thought I would do it for 1 year. I said, okay, I'll come back, I'll do my good deed, then I'll go corporate and make big money. That was my goal. I'm not gonna lie to you. I get back to Chicago, I'm at this all-boys school on the south side, and I love it. I get to see myself. But literally, about 2 weeks before Deontay Hord's 18th birthday, he had just got into FAMU. He was shot and killed at the school. And I was just with him. It let me know how important for me it is that if I have the opportunity to be in front of these brilliant, black and beautiful young men, that I have to speak life every day. Either you're gonna be all the way in or you're not gonna be in at all. And that, you know, 1 year of teaching turned into 7 years of learning, of being in community with. And every young man I've lost after Deontay Hord, it plays in my mind often, but that's why we do the work though. Having the opportunity to learn and to see the full potential of these guys when they are running a Word is Bond, when they have, when they are represented and coming up with policy, when they are changing lives, when they are thriving and doing well, that is why we do the work. I thought I was going to help, but really I came back and got help. And gentlemen, one last thing, if you are good at what you do, whether it is a big flashing job or whether it is in the bottom of the barrel, they will find you. Put in the work. It does not matter where you are, put in the work, show up well, and you'll be surprised who will come find you. So I am so grateful, again, just to be here in community, because it's a lot going on when they talk about y'all. But I tell you what, though, man, like Yana, you changed the narrative. They changed the narrative for how we are viewed, how we are seen, how we are heard. It is power in this room. And if you don't know, man, somebody needs to shake you and tell you, you're powerful. Because you are. Alizé, you are. You're brilliant. I believe in you. You gotta make it. You don't got no choice. Your little brother looking up to you. You gonna make it. We got you. Now I'm gonna let my HBCU alum close us out.
Wow. I'll say my answer to the question, kind of how I got into what I'm doing. It stemmed, I work in politics, and it stemmed from a very, very deep curiosity of the world, a deep curiosity of just my experience growing up here in Portland, Oregon. As we all know, it's one of the whitest cities in the country, but also came from a very intense, traumatic upbringing. And I would say, too, the turning point for me, which kind of made me want to go full throttle into politics, was my 2 intense interactions with police here. The first was soon after the murder of Trayvon Martin. Myself and a couple of my friends were stopped. It was the first time I had a pistol to my head and a shotgun to the back of my head. The police had surrounded the block just on Mississippi. They were searching for some individuals, and we fit the description. Second time was 2 years later. I'm staying the night at a friend's house. It gets raided by SWAT at 3 in the morning with flashbang grenades, and K9s and ARs, and we get woken up to flashbang grenades. Boom, boom. At that time, I don't know what a flashbang grenade is. I suddenly start to hear, well, after the first bang, he runs upstairs. His family is upstairs. He goes to check on his family. After that, I don't see him. And I hear boom, boom. And I start to hear Elijah Crawford. This is the Portland police. Come out with your hands in the air. And at that point, I'm spooked. I'm literally paralyzed in fear because I don't even want to believe what I'm hearing. And I hear boom, boom. It's the Portland police. Come out with your hands in the air. We start. So I'm sitting in the basement on the couch, scared to move because I'm hearing these. And he went upstairs, and I don't know where he went. I'm thinking they're gunshots. I start to hear a couple minutes later, there's a door to the room that I'm in. Boom, boom. At that time, it turned out they had a robot on the other side of the door looking for people in the house. But I don't know what it is until I open the door. But I'm hearing boom, 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 boom. Come out with your hands in the air. We were sitting the K9s in. So at that point, I'm hearing that bumping on the door. I'm thinking they're already inside. I'm thinking it's a wrap. I finally pick up the phone. I call my mom. I let her know what's going on. She tells me, listen to what they say. Go up there, leave your phone, don't have anything in your pockets, don't have anything in your hands. I finally built up the courage to go up there. I open the door. I see that there's a robot. It has a camera. I walk around the robot. I go up the stairs. By the time I get up the stairs, they have a light beaming into the house so they can already see me before I even come outside. I come outside, and the way the house was positioned, you have to walk upstairs. So when I get out and I'm on the porch, I'm looking down at the street. I see the street flooded with SWAT and Army fatigue, a big truck with a light coming out the top, with a gun pointed at the house, and dogs everywhere. My mom is at the end of the block, and she's just pulling up, screaming, "That's my son, don't shoot, don't shoot." So I walk down the first flight of stairs, and I see the first officer, and they say, walk to the officer, walk down, come to the officer. He puts me in handcuffs. They go, take me behind the truck, and they seal off, so my mom can't see what's going on. She's at the end of the block, they won't let her come up. And then the sergeant, or the head who was in charge, kind of gets in my face and he's grilling me. Where is he at? Where is he at? They're looking for my friend's older brother. Where is he at? Where is he at? I don't know. I haven't seen him. I don't know. If you're lying to us, you're gonna be in big fucking trouble. So at that point, I'm in handcuffs. He's in my face, and I have a gun to my head on this side, a gun to my head on that side. So they after the line of questioning, they let me go down to the end of the block to where my mom is, but I have to sit and wait for the detective to come for further questions. So I wait in the car. By the time the detective comes, he's asking a series of questions similar to the ones that they've already asked, trying to coerce an answer that he wants to hear. I have to have my mom step in and kind of help advocate for me. And at that point, I'm 14 years old. And this time, this was soon after the killing of Mike Brown. So there's a lot of tension with police around the country. They started the raid at 3 a.m. They didn't let us leave the site till 11 a.m. And after they never found what they were looking for, and after that, it was just like, okay, thank you, you can leave. And those two tense, traumatic interactions sparked my interest in social justice from there. And it wasn't until probably about my junior year of high school where I kind of really found my groove. I got involved with Black Student Union at Central Catholic in about 2017. Started, this was around the time Colin Kaepernick was taking the knee and leading that initiative. So I did the same at my school, and it wasn't received well initially. It was Central Catholic. There was a lot of white donors who weren't very happy about it. So the coach called a team meeting, and he wanted to know why certain individuals on the team were taking the knee. And that was the first time since that had happened that I had openly shared the story with my teammates about how it impacted me and why I was leading that charge. And it was very therapeutic to share it in that way, and the way it was received. At that point, I started, like I said, to lead in BSU, and then my senior year I took American government, and that was the first time I was exposed to just the fundamentals of government, the three branches, their functions. We had folks from City Hall come in and talk to us, and it sparked my interest because it was like, okay, well this is where the rules are being made. I don't know what I want to do within this, but I want to learn more. And when I was on that tech tour that I told y'all about earlier, I was telling one of the mentors that we met on the tech tour kind of about my story and my interests, and he was telling me you should consider political science. And at that time, I had no idea what political science was, but I knew I had this experience, and I knew that it could be an avenue for me to get a seat at the table. I knew politics was a route that no one in my family had ever went. I knew it would be tough, and I knew it would be something different, and that also intrigued me. So I went to an HBCU, Southern University. I declared political science as my major. And when I first started, I didn't really know. I thought I would do my 4 years of undergrad and become a civil rights attorney and go that route. But my junior year of college, it was during COVID. I actually was blessed with the opportunity to come back home, and I worked on a campaign. In Gresham for Gresham City Council for Vince Jones Dixon, who is here in the back and became the first Black man to represent Gresham City Council. And then after that, I returned back to Louisiana for my senior year, and I did that in person. And then I got an internship at the state capitol in Louisiana. And that was my first time being able to sit in the Capitol during legislative session to see bills in committee. I spent most of my time in the criminal justice committee because that was where my interest was. And I got to testify on bills. I got to do research on bills. I got to see the very many players that are a part of this process. There was, you had your electeds, you had your constituents, you had your business interests and lobbyists, and then you had organizations who were there lobbying on specific issues. But it intrigued me because everybody convened in the building during this specific time to advocate for resources, and that's a part of what politics is at its core, distribution of resources. So I was intrigued with that process. I did that up until my senior year, and then I finished. And then I did a fellowship in New Orleans with a nonprofit doing a lot of the similar work. It was a Black-led nonprofit advocating for criminal justice initiatives at the state capitol. And then from there, I was blessed to go to DC with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation and do this similar work in the congressman's office and see policy at the federal level. I did that, then came back home and worked on a campaign for Janelle Bynum, and I got to see what the campaign side looks like and how I worked on the finance team specifically, so I got to see how money influences campaigns and a campaign of that scale. And now I'm working in Councilor Loretta Smith's office. So I would say my story and my experience allowed me to kind of take the courage to learn as I went, and I'm still learning. But I guess the message I want to get across is I want my story to represent a story of resilience, but also having the courage to use your experience and just take the first step, and not having to know it all before you take that first step and learn as you grow, because that's quite frankly all I've been doing is learning as I go, and have been blessed to have some pretty cool experiences. And what keeps me going is the challenges of it all. Every day in the position I'm in now, every day there's a new issue, there's a new problem, and then it requires a new solution. It's very fast paced, requires me to think on my feet, but also I want those who are coming after me, young black men specifically, to think big, dream big, and don't sell yourself short, and have the courage to step out there and learn as you go.